On one of my community posts, I asked you all a question about future ideas for the channel. One of them I thought was pretty interesting. It reads thusly: a video about which is the best Pokemon. 100% fact, not clickbait. Definitely not only your opinion. Huh. What a very specific request for me to work on. Alright, I like this comment. I'll do it. Pokemon is the biggest and most recognizable anime of all time. Period. Literally nothing beats it. From the ultra popular anime to the many different games the series is particularly known for, Pokemon is, without a doubt, one of the most influential franchises of all time, and that's no cap. Anytime you can theme a store after a hospital, I think you've become that guy. However, with that massive amount of recognition, there is a massive amount of Pokemon to look at, and objectively talk about. Okay, 1008 Pokemon is a lot. But that's what you get when you're working with a series that makes furry bait once every 2 years. You know what that means. That number comes with options. Do you want to take a trip down memory lane and go through the islands of Johto? How about beat someone's ass to the sound of trumpets in Hoenn? Or maybe you want to go to Galar and get attacked by some watered down British thugs. And maybe get choked out by this thing. What the hell is this thing, dude? There are regions you probably forgot about too, like Almia. I ain't ever forgetting that one. The point is, there is a lot to choose from when it comes to my totally unbiased opinion. That's why I should set some ground rules. For the sake of my sanity, I think I'm going to narrow it down a bit and give you some type of objectively right answer that'll definitely boost my ego and make the internet come and try to take me out back for voicing my thoughts. I can't wait. So, rule number 1. I'm going to stick to the original Kanto Pokemon. That's 150 Pokemon that I can observe and get some answers with. Rule number 2. We are excluding legendary Pokemon. Why would we add the gods of the literal Pokemon world into the mix with these weird, goofy-ass creatures? I mean, look at this thing. Get your goofy ass out of here. We're not doing that. No Mew, no Ho-Oh, none of that. And rule number 3. We're going to use Pokédex entries to help, but I am an art guy, and that means that a design might edge out the competition enough to make you top of the list. Are we clear? Cool. Let's get started. So starting off, let's get some Pokemon types out of the way. I'm sorry, but bug types have got to go. Some of you are classic, I know, but you're not cool enough to be anywhere near the top ranking. Let's look at Old Faithful for a second. Caterpie. Its entry reads, its short feet are tipped with suction pads that enable it to tirelessly climb slopes and walls. Wow. So cute. But boring as hell. No disrespect, little man, you're adorable. With those big, expressive eyes and a green, pudgy body, Caterpie looks quite intimidating. This thing is a foot long and weighs 6 pounds. Call it a bug person's worst nightmare, but I really do have a soft spot for this oversized worm. But him and his little friends need to get the hell up out of here. Bug Pokemon aren't known for their stats often. They generally are good at lowering stats and applying status effects to allow for stronger Pokemon to come in and steamroll enemy teams. It's pretty good, but it's not going to help you in the rankings or anything like that. I'm sorry, but you gotta get out of here. Next on the list of things we can throw off the list would be poison types. Poison types are, as they sound, little nasty gremlins that are always there to inflict you with the dreaded poison status, and drain your health like Americans drain Diet Coke. All of these Pokemon fit a certain look. Purple. They're purple. No, not that there's anything wrong with purple, mind you, but we don't have a lot of big game options here. I mean, we do have the Nido line of Pokemon. Nidoking is purple, and it does look quite cool. It's an intimidating beast with armored skin and powerful claws. Its entry says, it uses its powerful tail in battle to smash, constrict, then break the prey's bones. Nice, but I think Nidoqueen is a little bit more palatable. What's that? Not non-biased. I'm being non-biased. This isn't the end of the video. Don't leave. Come back. I'm gonna do my best. Just simmer down a little bit, okay? We're gonna get to the good stuff. I promise. As you might notice, while these Pokemon are quite strong, some of them being the point of contention for speedrunning, it's not the zenith of Pokemon design and power. I'm sorry, but we aren't there quite yet. Given the gaps in strength and ability, looks aren't always enough to make you the bestest Poké partner. This is the case for a lot of the normal type Pokemon. Some of them have the best looks in the original roster, I think. They vary in design, but their skills are for the most part lacking. They aren't exactly special, except for maybe the fact that they have long tongues or are just glorified house pets. Let's look at the heartthrob of the Pokemon community, Eevee. Eevee is adorable and arguably has the most utility in the entire series. Its DNA is so screwed up that it can evolve into various forms when you apply any number of stones to its person. These new forms are all quite impressive, and some even haunt the wet dreams of you disgusting perverts out there. I mean, did you know that in terms of male human and female Pokemon breeding, Vaporeon is the most compatible Pokemon for humans? Not only are they in the Field Egg group, which is mostly comprised of mammals, Vaporeon are an average of 3 feet 3 inches tall and 63.9 pounds. This means that they're large enough to able to... What the f*** broke this? Yeah, while the Eevee line of Pokemon is one of our strongest candidates yet, I'm gonna keep going and try not to process what I just read. All in all, we're going to be looking for a Pokemon that is likely not trying to get in bed with you, and more that is on the specialized single-type or dual-type Pokemon spectrum. Or at least, find ourselves a pseudo-legendary to work with. Alright, well what about the starter Pokemon? The starter Pokemon are all quite interesting, don't get me wrong. Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard are all extremely competent Pokemon, with Blastoise having an amazing defense and goddamn water pump shooting out its back. However, we can do better than these three. I mean, Charizard looks like you can make it laugh if you poke this fat little stomach it has. And you... I love you, but nah. I gotta let you cook, my guy.
Let him cook! Starter
Pokemon are unfortunately starter Pokemon. They're good to start with, and they have really good stats overall because they're designed to. But of course, objectively, I think we can do a whole lot better. With all that being said, let's look at some other Pokemon and get them out the way too. Some lines of Pokemon just look stupid and aren't really up there with the giants. Bellsprout is a shining example. It's a dual-type grass and poison type, but it's nothing to write home about. Its Pokédex entry reads, a carnivorous Pokemon that traps and eats bugs. It uses its root feet to soak up needed moisture. Come on man, you're not even trying to think big. Believe it or not, I actually like this Pokemon's design. It's dorky, but it's cute. It's a carnivorous plant though, and while its evolutions are bigger and badder, I could take a flamethrower and send this thing to the Great Garden in the sky. It's a no from me. Oh, how about Alakazam? Now this is a great Pokemon. It's said to be one of the smartest Pokemon out there, and its IQ is over 5,000. Given that that's likely impossible, we still have an extremely competent Psychic type with a pretty great design. But its stats are pretty focused on special attack. It's a solid Pokemon, I like this, but I think we could do better. Also on the specialized list of single-type Pokemon, we have Machamp. It's a massive beast of a Pokemon that has the ability to move mountains with a single arm, and it's got 4 of them. I love multiple arms, but Machamp always made me feel uncomfortable. His attack stats are quite high, but I don't like that face. He's gotta get up out of here. Huh? No, I'm not being biased. No, not at all. Okay, look. Yes, I'm biased, okay? I admit it. Are you happy? But come on. I have to make you look for my top pick. I swear, I think you guys might like my choice. Just trust me a little, okay? I'm gonna pick a Pokemon you can all be proud of. Or at least one that you'll drag me in the comments for. Hell, it's Pokemon. I made fun of 99% of you guys and your wet waifu, so why not? The point I'm getting at is this. Unless you're gonna spend thousands of hours on a topic like this and do some serious number crunching, I don't think you can be anything else but biased, and that's okay. So, now I'm going to be a bit more forthcoming about my choices and knock out a couple more before I get serious about my take. Let's get back to dual types. Many of the Pokemon I'm going to probably talk about are dual types. Not at all, mind you, but this is a huge possibility since they make up for some of the weaknesses that they have with their secondary nature. But some are not created equal. Bellsprout, mind you. Another group that I'll clown on is the Tentacool line. These badasses are poison and water type and have a pretty cool ability set, though I don't think I'd be hard pressed to put my life in the hands of this thing. It's a jellyfish with big old red squishies on its head. The blue, red, and yellow color scheme go really well together, but that's about all I gotta say about it. Looking at its evolution, Tentacruel, the only thing cruel about this thing is that it looks like it wants to play a mean-ass clarinet. Get it out of here. Next Pokemon. Oh, these are cool. How about the Ghastly line? All 3 of the Pokemon here are super cool, and are among some of the most iconic Pokemon in the region. They are ghost and poison type Pokemon that thematically look like a spirit that slowly takes form into something that's solid. While Ghastly might look like an apparition, Haunter begins to slowly grow more menacing until it fully evolves into the terrifying Gengar. Gengar in particular is quite iconic. It is one of the first Pokemon you see, found in the opening of Pokemon Red and Green, and it's apparently the favorite Pokemon of series creator Ken Sugimori. Its terrifying red eyes and devious smile work really well, given its simple overall design. However, its stats start low, and by the end of it, it doesn't get to something monstrous. Hell, it doesn't even gain its best ghost-type attack in this generation either. It's an extremely strong pick, but I'll have to put this group somewhere in my top 5. Probably. Alright, let's look at one more Pokemon group before I reveal some serious picks of mine, and you all shame me in the comments, okay? One of the most iconic things about Pokemon is the ability to make a completely useless Pokemon more powerful as time progresses. If you can see where this is going, then you know what I'm about to show you. It goes without saying, the weak can grow strong if one trains and attends to Pokemon that they choose. This sentiment is the entire point behind the Magikarp Pokemon line. Design-wise, Magikarp is supposed to be a carp, if you can believe that. It has deep orange scales and long whiskers with the yellow crown atop its head. In universe, it's extremely difficult to eat due to its thick scales, but also in canon, it's considered to be one of the most useless Pokemon in the series. Magikarp's entire premise is that it initially only knows one single move: Splash. If you think crawling on your hands and knees in the latest game of Fortnite is down bad, then this is just pathetic. It has horrible stats. It can only learn Tackle and Flail as its other movesets. It can't even use water attacks. Its bio reads as follows. In the distant past, it was somewhat stronger than the horribly weak descendants that exist today. Bruh, that's horrible. But it's not all doom and gloom. Magikarp actually has one serious glow-up. Like Shakira not lying about her hips, this little bastard somehow doesn't lie about having the key to greatness. When sufficiently leveled, Magikarp tells the world it's here as it transforms into the monstrous Gyarados. Gyarados is a complete 180 in terms of power and design. Gyarados is a massive blue fish with draconic attributes: a stinking body, frightening face, huge fangs, and vicious red eyes. To me, when you think of Pokemon evolution, this is immediately what I think of. It's an extreme version of an evolution in Pokemon, and I think it's perfect, at least design-wise. It has impressive stats at high levels, has an impressive ability to intimidate Pokemon into weaker attack stats, and has a solid type matchup since it's a dual type. It also has that nod to Chinese legend that the bridge between Magikarp and Gyarados has. If you aren't aware, there's a Chinese legend in which any carp that leaps over something called the Dragon Gate, the mystical standing gate at the top of a waterfall, will turn into a dragon. It's an arduous journey, and not many carp have that dog in them. In the end, the strongest make the trip, while the weakest just simply don't make it. Magikarp is said to jump higher than most mountains. For a weak little fish, that's an incredible feat, to take its strength into its own fins and evolve into something quite fierce. However, I think that there's one more level we can take it to. You get it? It's a level joke because it's Pokemon. It's shut up. So, here we are. What Pokemon does Noodle think is the best in Generation 1? Well, I think I picked out something quite debatable as a heavy hitter in this gen. Well, at least to me. You guys do whatever the hell you want. Out of many Pokemon we've seen, there's a concept in this series called pseudo-legendary Pokemon. These are Pokemon which may be a bitch to collect and may have unassuming stats, but can grow into nigh mythical in terms of ability. With that, there is a handful of these in Generation 1, and I'd argue that out of all these Pokemon, the creature with the most interesting evolutionary path to me is Dratini. Dratini is a dragon-type Pokemon that acts a lot like a sea serpent. It sheds its skin, it lives by the water, and is considered highly elusive, as many dragons should be. It has average stats, and it's cute to look at with those big old eyes. Its Pokédex entry reads that it was once considered a myth. Everything about it is supposed to give off an air of mystery, fitting for the dragon Pokemon. At level 30, it evolves into the elegant-looking Dragonair. It becomes an almost ethereal being that exudes a gentle aura. It's a natural design progression from what Dratini would be. Longer, bluer, with more white bits all over. It even has little jewels on its body. Damn son, looking good all blinged out. Its stats are still alright, but of course it is still the intermediate evolution, with one more to go. As Dragonair evolves to level 50, we get to see its final form, Dragonite. Dragonite, I think, embodies Pokemon in design and philosophy perfectly. Look at this little dorky ass guy. Look at his little gut and the little fingers. This is the strongest thing in this line, and it looks like one of those mascot suits at a sporting event. Despite all this, Dragonite is capable of supersonic flight and has human-like intelligence. It is known as a savior for saving the lost or drowning at sea. It is even considered as the embodiment of the sea itself. It's also important to note, as a false legendary, it has great overall stats, with attack being its strongest. It can learn a wide moveset, both native and taught, and its rarity and lore make the Pokemon something to behold when it's finally seen in battle. In canon, Dragonite is said to have a benevolent demeanor. It can get angry when the environment is threatened though. As a result, it's best not to make this thing angry, as its rampages are apparently quite scary. With this in mind, it's not a perfect Pokemon, but it's probably what I would pick for the best Pokemon, objectively. Give yourself a pat on the back and rub on the tummy, you little chubby little goofball. You get first place. Now, you're probably wondering, Noodle, what's your favorite Pokemon in Gen 1? With all the unique absurdity Pokemon has to offer, it's apparent that this is a wild card in the mix. Frankly speaking, you won't guess it unless you know me pretty well. You'd probably think that it'd be some cute Pokemon, like Eevee or Vaporeon. Ugh. You'd actually be wrong. They're cute, but a bit too cute, so it's not them. You may also think that I'm more into the cool-looking Pokemon, or maybe Pokemon you've seen me talk about already, like Gengar. But no, again, you'd be wrong. While I have a close second in the Pokemon Lapras, cause just look at it, my favorite Pokemon is one that might surprise you. I offer to you the humble Staryu. If you ever grew up watching the English dub for Pokemon, Staryu was a menace and was more effective in combat than it should have been for that. And because of it, I loved every second of it. It is the star-shaped Pokemon. Or, that's what the Pokédex entry says anyway. It has a gem in its center and it has psychic abilities. And while it isn't a dual type yet, its evolution is. And so as long as these little creatures keep their little gem core, wherever that little thing is, they can recover from pretty much anything. Without a doubt, this little guy is my hero. And for good reason. Pokemon is so full of creatures and adventure. If you were a small creature like me growing up in the early 2000s, you had access to all these games, even if they were just years old by then. It didn't take a lot to have a sit down with the Game Boy Color and just plug and play. Pokemon is one of the most influential and recognized series of all time, and I think there's a reason for it. It's fun and pretty carefree. Sure, you may attract a few PETA campaigns, but hey, they threw all those lobsters in fresh water, so to hell with them. With that said, I think I'm done though, and I'll probably make another one of these videos. One that might be a little bit shorter and more biased, cause why not? I'm gonna scoot you all on out of here and wish you a good day. If you have a favorite Pokemon in Gen 1, tell me all about it in the comments. Or you can tell me why I'm wrong. I'll be happy to listen to what you have to say. So, until next time, drink water, give your local Dragonite some berries, and don't attack people like my hero Staryu. I'll see you dogs later.